crisis that you talked about earlier. There's a lot of programs for people who are behind on their payments, who have somehow gotten in a really bad situation. There's nothing to help people who, like myself, are in one of those awful loans with adjustable rate mortgages, who are up to date with their mortgage payments, but in the future see that disaster is looming. I'm unfortunately fortunate enough to keep making my payments, and so I've called all the numbers and I've been told there's nothing we can do for you, maybe the government will help. There's nothing out there that I know of that's going to help somebody with good credit, which makes me think if I'm going to lose my house in the future, I should walk away now and save myself the money. And lenders really seem to be wanting to be in the business of collecting houses instead of giving loans. So what are you doing to help people like me who fortunately are unfortunate enough to be making their payments on time?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems we've had to try and figure out, both from a moral standpoint, ethical standpoint, and economic standpoint. Why should someone who is making a concerted effort to make their payments and frankly is under an objective standard financially able to at the present time, continue to do that where someone, let's say next door to them, gotten the same thing, but with really no prospect for being able to make those payments, other than pure speculation that they were going to get out of that as quickly as they possibly could? And what is the obligation on the part of the government to try and deal with that, secondly? And thirdly, what is, economists or sociologists call it, what is the problem of the moral hazard? Moral hazard means if in fact we take government steps after certain actions have been taken by individuals, which basically say, no matter what you do, you don't have to worry about the consequences because we'll come by and we'll take care of it. What does that do to people's decision making in the future to be responsible? And those are all things we have to take into account. And so what we've tried to do is separate out where we can between the difficult loans of those individuals who, with adjustments, will have a prospect of keeping those homes and working with the lenders to be able to do that. While on the other hand, there are individuals who never will be in that position. And essentially, they've gotten into houses they never were in a financial situation to have in the first place. And government shouldn't be in the position of therefore saying, even though this is a home that if you really sat down and looked at it, you never could have afforded in the first place, we're going to make sure you stay in that home. I mean,
I'm not saying that at all.
But in your case, you're talking about someone who's now able to make your payments, but in the future you see some problems, correct?
Absolutely. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for someone to say, your mortgage is this, you've been paying on time for 4 years, guess what? We think you're a good financial risk. We're going to allow you to refinance at a lower interest rate. No matter how many times the federal government lowers the interest rate, if I can't refinance, it does no good.
The question is, how do we reach an economic situation where, in fact, the lenders are in an ability to do refinancing which will fit your particular need? All we can do is try and set the financial conditions such that that possibility will exist for you in the future. I can't guarantee that's going to be the case. With the Federal Reserve attempting to, well, the Federal Reserve actually cutting rates, we are seeing rates coming down. Are they coming down fast enough to meet your situation? Evidently you don't think they are right now.
My mortgage rate is not going down. It's funny with an adjustable rate mortgage. They're more than happy to bring them up, but they never come down. So it stays at a high amount, and in the future it will continue to increase.
No, I understand. That's why you want to go out and refinance if you possibly can from another financial institution.
But I am upside down, and they will not do it. So
well, at this point in time, they may not do it. At some point in time, they may. I mean, that, part of it is, we can't suspend the laws of economics and the market. I mean, if you're saying the value of your house has gone down so that you're upside down relative to what your loan is, there's nothing we can do to adjust that. I mean, I heard one of the presidential candidates say she wants to say for 5 years you can't increase interest rates, and that we will have no foreclosures for a year. I mean, I don't know how you mandate that, and if you do mandate that, how are we ever going to get anybody to invest money in banks such that they can loan it out to people in the future if they think the government will come along afterwards and say, I don't care what your agreement was, I don't care what the value of the house is, we are going to mandate that you have to reduce that mortgage to what the value of the house is now, even though that's not what you lend on. I mean, after a while, what happens is we'll dig ourselves into a hole that's even worse than it is now. The best we can try and do, I think, is to try and stabilize the market as quickly as we possibly can, try and bring interest rates down. Now, we don't do that, the Federal Reserve does that. And third, try and give assurance to the financial institutions that we're going to go after the bad actors, and when there is fraud, we will go after fraud. But with respect to those who acted